Welcome back to the South End Zone. SEC play is upon us. Week 3 preview coming at you hot. Chad, let's get it.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Our intent was to eat. Our intent was to come eat and be hungry.
We're taking receipts, and we'll see you at the national championship.
Damn right we will.
It is time, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to eat. It's time to take receipts, and we'll see what happens. Maybe it's the national championship with both of our teams in it. Who knows? But what I can tell you for
I just
sure,
hope we're not eating receipts at the end of the season.
Yeah, we won't be eating receipts. Hopefully not. That'd be terrible. Welcome back to the South End Zone. My name is Tyler. You see my friend Chad over here. And if you are new here, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you are back, welcome back. Don't hate us too much. If you do, that's also fine. We appreciate everybody coming by and stopping through, and we're going to get right into it. SEC conference play is here. So off the top, both of our teams got important games this week, and I'm wearing number 1, so I will go first. We go into
I'm wearing a number. I didn't know we were supposed to wear numbers for this show.
I'm thinking a number between 1 and it's me. Okay, cool. 18 for 6. We go down to Neyland Stadium, unfortunately, to play Tennessee. And what I realized is that we had a really ridiculous road schedule last year in the terms of there was the pedigree of the SEC. Yeah. We had to go to Austin to play Texas. We had to go to Tuscaloosa to play Alabama. We had to go to Oxford to play Ole Miss in the rain. This year we go to the nitty gritty. We go to Neyland. We go to Starkville this year, and so it's a lot to think about. So, yes, we play the Tennessee Volunteers this Saturday. We have not lost to them since 2016. And I know, bro, I know. That being on a Josh Dobbs Hail Mary to Jawan Jennings in Athens, if you remember that, right after a Jacob Easton go-ahead touchdown. Oh, heartbreaking. And my sports management teacher literally put it on the projector in class. Because the following morning – for us, everybody to see. It was horrendous. Anyway, and by the way, these lines are early and they are by ESPN Bet. They are no way set in stone. We just use them to kind of gauge what we're talking about. It's not technically a betting podcast. Anyway, we go into Neyland to play the Tennessee Volunteers, and let me tell you, I believe that they have looked very good. I'm actually not gonna lie to you, Chad, a very healthy level of nervous for this game. Tennessee has some dudes all over the field. So they beat the brakes off of Syracuse. They played Eastern Tennessee State University, which doesn't say much other than the fact that they hung 70+ points on them.
Nursing school though.
There you go. And I am a nurse, so shout out to them. They got legit juice all over the field. Aguilar threw for 288 and 2 TDs. And that's before they took him out halfway through the game. And then Star Thomas, 69 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Chris Brazel II, 125 receiving yards and 2 tuds, and they have guys everywhere. I am worried about their defense. Not necessarily against our offensive line, but I need Gunner to make smart decisions. We already talked about our game against Austin Peay after beating the brakes off of Marshall. We won, but we looked very flat against Austin Peay. I think we need to stay with that ourselves. I think Herbie's going to get the boys right. I think I say those exact words on almost a weekly basis because it's true. I've had the luxury of having Kirby Smart as my head coach for some time now after having to not deal with, but essentially deal with Mark Richt for the majority of my childhood up until, these last few years. Given a long time, a long leash. I want to know what you think, Chad, because I personally am feeling very nervous right now, and I need some positive. You sometimes have to play my therapist on these shows, Chad, and so I want to know your thoughts.
Well, one of my clients is a big Tennessee fan, so I'm not going to say anything negative about Tennessee. So I'll just come around and say that right off the rip. No, but I think I've been really impressed with what I've seen from Joe Aguilar, and
Me too.
I think that when everybody looked at this upcoming season, there were some expectations around this whole roster with Nico Iamaleava as the quarterback, and I think that as soon as he pulled his shenanigans and tried to do like a hold in, hold out, whatever, like the first ever college player to be like, yep, well, pay me more money. I'm renegotiating my contract in the middle of the season. This is not like Matthew Sluka at UNLV where he was like, hey, y'all didn't pay me my money.
Yeah.
I'm out. This was like, hey, thanks for the money. I want more. And Josh Heupel was like, no.
No.
Hit the bricks, kid. We're not doing that here. No. And I think everybody just like went to sleep on Tennessee because they just thought like, I don't know why, but for some reason people thought that like the whole team revolved around Nico Iamaleava, and that is not the case. If you have been paying attention for the last 10 plus years, the Nico Iamaleava train was not what was making Tennessee successful. It was Josh Heupel going and getting dudes at every position, especially along that defensive line and in the secondary. And I mean, the linebacking core too, but they've got O-linemen, they've got receivers. That's who makes these quarterbacks look good. And like, no Dylan Sampson, no problem. They'll just reload with, I mean, you go back and look at the history of Tennessee running backs, and a lot of that's under Phil Fulmer, Jamal Lewis and Arian Foster and like all these dudes that you just go back, James Stewart, just tons of dudes. I already said Jamal Lewis. There's another guy. Can't remember his name. Anyway, a lot of dudes. All right. So saying all that to say that Tennessee has a history of like just stud running backs, dudes that go on to successful NFL careers. So they're going to have athletes all over the field at every position, and Josh Heupel's going to find a way to whatever quarterback he brings in and chooses to be the quarterback of that team. He's going to be if there's a guy who's going to coach that guy up to be ready, it's Josh Heupel. And look at what he's done. He's taken Joey Aguilar from Appalachian State, and everybody was criticizing like some of the turnovers that he, committed when he was there, and some of the things. He had a really good year a couple of years ago, kind of took a step backwards almost last year. But from what I'm seeing so far, he's looking really good.
Yeah, dude. I think it's going to come down to, and I kind of say this a lot, is kind of limiting their chunk playability, because he's at a Heupel offense. He's never going to hesitate to just let that thing fly downfield, and that's what makes me a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. We cannot let them get hot, because I don't know what we're going to look like if we're on our heels early or for most of the game. This is still, we have a lot of vets on the defense, but we're still bringing in some new guys. And on the flip side of that, we're still kind of dialing in the offense. We also have dudes. Our receiving core is sick. So I think we need to lean on that and get them going. And I think it's going to come down to Mike Bobo. Young man, come sit. If we throw 20 screens, I'm going to lose my mind. Now, it's one thing if it's a Zachariah Branch, we get a couple. We have to give different looks. Because if we come with some vanilla-ass offense in Neyland Stadium and we start giving up tackles for loss and, God forbid, sacks, or we start turning the ball over, we're going to lose that game in horrendous fashion. That is how I feel, because Tennessee is going to keep piling it on, and they're never going to stop.
Yeah,
like I said, we have not lost to Tennessee since 2016.
Yeah, and their setup is run the ball effectively, set up play action, take those deep shots, and then do the things underneath, hit the seams as well. But like, I'm not saying that Georgia and Gunnar Stockton aren't capable of playing from behind and finding a way to come back and win a game when you're down early, but I know that you're definitely built for the opposite, which is get a lead and then just Python choke them out.
Yep, stranglehold.
And when you don't do that, if you do allow them to get an early lead, I don't know how that shapes out for you guys. Because if you look at the game, the Texas game last year, the first game that you guys played, you kind of piddled around with it and turned the ball over a bunch, and somehow you still hadn't fallen behind, and you had a lead, and it was like, okay, and then just kind of like stood on them for the rest of the game. And then the second time you played them, it was a close game. Carson Beck gets hurt, and you're just like hoping that Gunnar Stockton cannot crash the car.
Right.
And he parked it very well.
He wins the game. He takes the lead and wins the game.
That's right.
Yeah. So historically, especially
Like a drift park turn,
Yeah, seriously, especially in these early season games, especially in like the Stetson Bennett seasons, it was we'll stand on our defense until our offense gets going. Like in every game, it's like our defense will come out guns a-blazing, and they'll get us the ball, and they'll keep them out of the end zone. But we need to put our own points up, and if we don't do that, we'll still lose anyway. You know what I mean? It's like the defense is gonna hold on to them until we can get the offense going. I think we need to come out hot. We cannot start slow. And yeah, I think we got to get Aguilar's head. This is his first like SEC and SEC game. I think we have to take advantage of that. That's kind of how I'm feeling right now. I think it's gonna be a great game. We got a ranked on ranked matchup at a 3:30 game in Neyland. Fire me up for that game. That's kind of where I'm at right now, Chad. If anybody doesn't know anything about me yet, I never get too high or too low. It's like Kurt doesn't let our guys get too high or too low. We went back-to-back national championships, but I suffered through the Mark Richt era. I suffered through 2nd and 26. I suffered through 4 yards short in the SEC championship game to go to the national championship. These things can happen. So all that being said, I think we can do it. I think this spread, if this spread holds on, that's insane to me. That's a big number. I think it's a field goal at most. That's where I'm at. So, Mr. Chad, you guys also have a SEC championship game, SEC conference game at home at PTSD against the Florida Gators, who are coming off a loss to USF. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, so I think this was supposed to be a ranked on ranked matchup. Florida did not handle their end of the bargain. But look, man, we talked about it before the season. I hope I don't have to eat my words to these Florida fans who've been coming in the comments for the last few weeks. But we told you to pump the brakes on DJ Lagway and Billy Napier and the Florida Gators. There was a lot of hype around him and that team and Billy Napier. And it's funny because like we talked about this in that episode that people wanted to fire him halfway through the season last year.
They did.
We want to fire him right now. Yep. And this is what we were talking about. Like, be very careful when you try to lump these massive expectations on a dude who's played like 6 full games in his entire career. And yeah, they got hot at the right time and it looks great. But man, how many times have we seen it where we see it in the NFL all the time where the backup comes in, lights it on fire for 5 games, or an interim head coach does the same thing. They give the guy the job, and the next thing you know, you're looking up at 3-10, or that quarterback is choking it away for you, and you thought you had something, and you let your franchise QB go. I'm not saying that that's the case with DJ Lagway. I'm just saying you cannot put all that stock and put all that pressure and all those expectations. People are talking about Heisman, playoffs, national championship. We went through it earlier, but I'm going to go through it again because people have to like come to grips with what is facing Florida right now. And I know we're talking about the LSU Florida game, but I just want this leads into that because this is what Florida is staring down the barrel of for the rest of this season as they come into Baton Rouge. You beat Long Island. Okay, great. Good job. Congratulations. You lost to South Florida in the Swamp. Okay. The rest of the season, you've got at LSU, number 3, at number 5, Miami, at number 7, number 7, Texas comes to the Swamp. But then you go at number 16, Texas A&M. Then you have Mississippi State come to the Swamp. We saw what they did with Arizona State. Then you have Georgia and the cocktail party in Jacksonville after a bye week. Then at Kentucky, we saw what they just almost did to Ole Miss this weekend. And then you have at Ole Miss, number 17 currently. Don't know where they'll be ranked at that point. Then you get Tennessee in the Swamp. And then you get Florida State in the Swamp. Like, 8 top 17 matchups the rest of the way. They're staring that down. And this game with LSU, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of hoping that they would win that game against South Florida so that they wouldn't come in with like a chip on their shoulder. But I'm actually kind of second guessing that. I think that this may benefit LSU, who had their own trouble this past weekend after that huge emotional win over Clemson in the first game of the season. Big lead up to that game. All offseason, all anybody was talking about was you got to win game one. They got it done. Came out of it pretty healthy. They go into this game with Louisiana Tech. They look like they're sleepwalking through the first half and suffered a few injuries, some pretty significant ones. Braylon Moore, the starting center, should be okay, I hope. He was trying to get back into the game, but they shut him down. After that, he was seen in a boot, but a lot of times you see somebody in a boot and it's just for stabilization. So I'm hopeful that that's what it is, and that he's going to be good to go for Saturday with the Gators coming in. But lost Trey'Dez Green for what could be an extended period of time. We don't know yet. We're waiting on MRI results that will come out later this week, but it did not look good. He was in a knee brace and on crutches, and the way that the injury looked like it happened, I'm hoping it's just like maybe like a mild like MCL or something like that, something that he can come back in 2 or 3 weeks. But I fear the worst, and I don't want that to be the case. But yeah, so a lot of stuff that LSU has to deal with coming out of that game. Didn't play well, looked ugly, but like we talked about in our recap episode, there's this big adrenaline dump. And then you're looking ahead to Florida, and you know you're supposed to win this game. And yes, I know you're supposed to take care of business, and you're supposed to stay even keel and show up no matter what. But the best coaches have these same issues. It happened to Saban. It's happening to Kirby Smart. You've seen it happen to everybody. 18 to 21-year-old kids, trying to get them to come out with the same energy and intensity that they came out with against Clemson in week 1 out in Clemson is not the same as playing an in-state rival, or not an in-state rival, but just an in-state school who's not a rival. And you expect to beat them 70-0. The spread was 37.5, and you come out of there and you're like, gasping for breath for a 23-7 win. You just want to stay healthy. They failed to do that too. But hopefully this is one of those things where there's enough stuff on tape for them to get healthy going forward and get things right going into this game with Florida. With Florida, what I see is that worry that I had that maybe them losing was going to put a chip on their shoulder is I don't know if that doesn't help LSU now, because I don't know that they're going to have that. I don't know, man, staring that schedule that they've got coming down the road, staring that down the barrel. I don't think they're feeling like a hunter trying to, with LSU with a target on their back. And I think they're looking at their chances for all the things that they had hoped for this season, playoffs or anything like that, are all but out the window at this point. Like, you would almost have to run the table in the SEC, and that schedule is impossible. Like, you are not running the table in that schedule. I don't care who you are. And they're not one of the top 17 teams in the country. They're not one of the top 8 teams in the SEC. They're just playing all of those teams.
Yep.
So it's just going to be tough. And so I just hope LSU can handle business. The one thing that's encouraging for me is watching Byron Brown put up 263 and a touchdown on him. I know a lot of it was on that one long 66-yard touchdown to Singleton, but they also were able to muster 128 yards on the ground. So I don't know. I got some good feelings that LSU's defense is going to come to play. That's the one thing that showed up in that game against Louisiana Tech. Held them to like 150 total yards of offense on the night. And I know that's what you're supposed to do. But if you don't remember, defense for LSU the last few years has been a bit of a struggle. I would say it's been an unknown, but it hasn't been unknown. It has been known. We have been terrible for 2 straight years. And I think finally Blake Baker has this team playing where the blown assignments and the talent, like the talent they brought in, is just so much better than what they had the last couple of years. So I'm feeling good about this one. 6.5. I would say it's a little high, but I don't know. this is one of those. It's a rivalry game. They certainly they're going to come to play. I'm sure of that. I just don't know if you get up early on them, if you can get them to maybe capitulate a little bit because of I think how they're feeling right now about their prospects, and the fact that Billy Napier is already buzzing around among their fan base is not very encouraging if you're trying to play out there. I know you got to try to block all that noise out. That's tough. Again, 18, 21-year-old kids. Maybe they rally behind him and they really come to play for him. But I just don't know, man.
I mean, if you're Florida, you're at a crossroads. We've kind of talked about it. Like this is, you lose to USF, but you could absolutely stop. I'm not saying that I want this for y'all, but I'm just saying from their perspective, you could stop the bleeding if you come in LSU and do something.
Oh yeah, you go beat LSU. It's a whole different narrative.
Yeah, it's a whole different. But for y'all, this is y'all get off of the right foot. You're 2-0. You had the game in the Fake Death Valley. You took care of business. That was the game y'all have been waiting for all year long. That the college football public is waiting for all year long. And now you have another iteration of a very big rivalry here in the SEC. So do we. We play Tennessee. So it's two of our historic conference opponents. And I like y'all. I like Nuss in this game. I think that he could pick apart this Florida defense as long as your offensive line keeps doing what it does. And like you guys have had those improvements to your offensive line from this year to last. And he's seeing the field a hell of a lot better. He's making the better throws. He's making the right throw when he needs to. I think that's huge. I think that's huge. And now if you get Durham going 2 on the run game, I don't see a way you all lose this game. I'm not trying to put that voodoo out there, but I like y'all a lot this game.
I hope so.
I hope so too, buddy. Moving right along, staying in the conference, and I got to give one of these teams credit. Notre Dame has given themselves quite a schedule this year. If I'm being they've got Miami on the road, they'll have Texas A&M here in South Bend, and then they got to go play Arkansas.
Yeah,
which is, I mean, shout out to Notre Dame for giving themselves a schedule. They find themselves as 6.5-point favorites up in South Bend after going to Aggie Land week 1 and beating Texas A&M. What ended up being kind of like an ugly, sloppy, but they got it done type of game. Right. But still, you walk into, Kyle Field to take care of business. That's no joke, especially, in a nighttime scenario. Marcel Reed has been getting it done early. They kind of had a easy road so far. They're kind of getting their feet under them, which, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you got to start slow. And Notre Dame is off a bye week here, so they've actually had 2 weeks to kind of prepare for Texas A&M coming up to their house. I believe in Marcus Freeman to be able to correct the mistakes from the Miami game. There was just a lot of self-inflicted wounds there that I think led to that loss. But there's a lot to build on. CJ Carr looks great. They should trust him more. I think he actually balances that offense out way better than Riley Leonard did, if I'm being honest with you. I think you still got to run the goddamn ball. You have Jeremiah Love, who's like a possible outside Heisman contender, could be in New York. You lean on that. Your Texas A&M, Marcel Reed is currently leading the team in passing and rushing because he runs that read option so goddamn well. It's unbelievable. And I think you're going to have to unleash Le'Veon Moss. The first game, he didn't really do too much. This past game, he ran for 68 and a tud against Utah State. And Utah State was kind of somewhat close in that game, and then A&M took care of business. If that A&M pass rush gets busy, though, Cassius Howell had 3 sacks on 4 tackles. So that Texas A&M pass rush is no joke, man. That's
Mike Ogo's specialty, right? That's his thing, is the D line. So
right. So I think that this game is going to be close to the 6.5. I'm not sure how to lean on this just yet. Chad, how do you feel?
I mean, the easy trendy thing to say would be Notre Dame went and won in College Station last year, so get back time. They're going to go down there and take care of business, flip the script, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I kind of think that Notre Dame has the dudes and is set up well to take care of business. I think Texas A&M is just, they're such an enigma because they will do this thing every year where, and until proven otherwise, I'm going to keep saying it. There's a reason why we call them Texas 8-4.
It's true.
And it's because they will look like world beaters like they did last year for a stretch where they were 7-0 in the SEC, 7-1 overall, and cream of the crop in the SEC until they weren't, and then they finished 8-5. So I was actually doing them a favor calling them Texas 8-4. That was better than what their actual record ended up being. Mm-hmm. So I think this is one of those opportunities for them to either way exceed expectations like they tend to do sometimes, beating Alabama with Johnny Manziel and Mike Evans and, getting that done, and then laying eggs in other places to where they don't even make it to the SEC championship that year. So they have that in them, but they also have the ability to be that team that gets beaten like a drum by a team like Notre Dame in a game like this. I don't think this roster for Notre Dame necessarily has that beat them like a drum. And I think also what Texas A&M is building off of from last year, I think they're one of those teams, we've talked about it ad nauseum on this podcast, about taking the success that you had last year and just saying, like, assume all that happens, and then those things that we did wrong at the end of the season, we do all those right, and now we're 11-2. Yeah. Like, well, but what if you don't come back and beat LSU in College Station? What if you don't do XYZ in whatever other handful of games that they played a little closer? I think they had a real tough one with Arkansas, that game that they play in Dallas. That one was a little tight to start, and then they got some turnovers and pulled away. Those are the kinds of things where a team like Texas A&M in this situation, it's like, I don't know, man. You want to say, like, yeah, I believe, but it's not Missouri, but I want them to show me. I haven't seen it yet.
And I think that, like, it looks like they're unleashing Marcel Reed as like as a passer this year, as it seems. Obviously, he's still nasty on the read option. Will continue to be nasty on the read option, doing it with his legs. It sounds like he's taking the right steps to continue to lead this team.
It's easy though to look good against Utah State
for sure. No doubt about it. So, like, my thing is, those teams.
So their defense also gave up 3 touchdowns to each of those teams.
This is true. So I believe this is a get right for Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. I think that if any coach in the country can right the wrongs and learn from mistakes and build upon them and get better, and I think he's going to have one gotcha. That's what I keep calling him for Marcus Freeman. I like Notre Dame here. It could be close, but I'm going to lean with the Irish in this game. So we have a flip flop from last year. The Wisconsin Badgers are heading down to Tuscaloosa to play Alabama, number 19. Wow, they jumped 2 spots. That's so awesome after putting however many points they did on ULM. Whoop-de-doo, yay! Anyway, we talk about that we think that Alabama is probably going to stub their toe a few more times this year. I would love it to be this game because that would be hilarious. I don't believe that this is going to be this game.
I don't believe so either. I think this is actually a great get healthy situation for them, because it looks like they're playing somebody good, but they're not. Wisconsin's not good.
No. What's crazy, though, is Wisconsin actually learned how to throw a forward pass this year. The quarterback, Danny O'Neal, what a name. Mm-hmm. He went for 283, 3 touchdowns. He did have a pick last week against Middle Tennessee State. Yay.
Yeah.
And they actually can move the ball through the air. They've only had 173 yards on the ground combined last game. And for Alabama, it's you have Wisconsin at home, stay disciplined, realize who you are,
right,
and what you came to that school to do,
right,
and you represent that A on your chest and the number on the side of your helmet, and you put belt to ass against Wisconsin, and you will. I'm not gonna say you're gonna silence the haters because you still got your ass whooped by Florida State. But who knows? Florida State might just be some great team we don't know about yet. However, this is a get-right spot for Alabama. 20.5 is a crazy number. I'm not even going to look at that. I'm going to lean Bama here. And if I'm wrong, that's just hilarious. But I'm going to still lean with the Tide, despite Kalen DeBoer's coaching so far.
Mm-hmm. So a couple things. One is You ever see that video of Cam Ward and Shador Sanders working out, and Shador Sanders is like, "We should make a song," and Cam Ward's like, "Nah, man, I don't do that." He's like, "What do? You don't have any hobbies?" He's like, "Yeah, football. Football is my hobby." He's like, he's like, "I'm a football player." He's like, when they Google me, I wanted to say American football player. And it was just like the stark contrast between the two guys and like their focus. Okay. That is the difference between a Nick Saban coached Alabama roster and program and the Kalen DeBoer, like TikToks on the sidelines before the game, and all that, right before you go lose to Florida State, like all this other stuff that you shouldn't be doing is the kind of stuff that they're doing. So that's number one. And so don't put it past Wisconsin to possibly sneak up on them. I think they have one. I think Alabama has one, like, we're going to show the world that we aren't a bunch of bitches kind of thing, right? They've got to do that. This is probably that spot because it's the one that provides the least resistance.
Right, no doubt.
It's the easiest way to just go out there and execute and get positive feedback immediately. When they go to Athens in 2 weeks and they put their best effort forth and I don't know, something doesn't go their way, what starts happening then? You saw it last year in the Vanderbilt game. They're like kicking the ball off the spot after the referee spots the ball. There's all this stuff that you would have never seen under Nick Saban. And on top of that, we talked about Florida and staring down the barrel of this schedule. We have never talked about, in the whole Nick Saban era, the toughness of the schedule that Alabama has to face.
Nope.
Number one, because they typically don't have that tough of a schedule. I don't know how they did it that whole time he was there, but I don't remember a time where he had to play like 4 top 10 teams.
Right.
And I remember LSU having to do it multiple times. But number one, like Florida was one of our every year opponents. And so we had to do that through the Saban years mixed with the Urban Meyer Florida years.
Right.
And you know, Tennessee was solid, but they weren't as good as they have become since Heupel. Like the end of the Phil Fulmer era was not that good. And that was in the middle of the Saban era. Now those things might be interrelated, right? Because Saban started pulling recruits from Tennessee and everything. But I'm saying all that to say, like, listen to this schedule and let's start thinking about it the way we think about Florida, okay? Because I think they're very similar in, like, they have dudes, they have the 4 stars and 5 stars, maybe not as many as Alabama teams used to, but around the same as what Florida has right now. I think Florida's got a better quarterback than Ty Simpson. But listen to this schedule. So it's Wisconsin this weekend after they already lost to Florida State in Tallahassee. Then at Georgia in 2 weeks. Vanderbilt, a rematch, comes to Tuscaloosa. Then at Missouri. Then Tennessee in Tuscaloosa. Then at South Carolina this year. Then LSU at home. Oklahoma at home. Then whoever EIU is, some typical Alabama stuff, schedule that at the end of the year. And then the Iron Bowl in Auburn.
Oh no.
So I'm just looking at this schedule. I'm like, y'all might not escape this regular season with under 3 losses. Or, I mean, with under 4 losses, with 3 or fewer. Like, I could see 3 more losses in that schedule.
And I think it's kind of crazy. Like, if you're on a college football team and the biggest thing that is being dissected about you is your culture, that's going to be a punch in the mouth.
Yeah.
Like, I saw this put so well. Nick Saban took a bunch of 4 and 5 stars and made them believe that they were 1 stars and weren't nothing, and made them want to prove it and die for whatever and bleed to prove themselves and be hungry and police each other. Like, Reuben Foster and C.J. Mosley would not let this shit fly. Julio Jones, Amari Cooper would not let this happen. Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, you name it, Barrett Jones would not let this shit happen. That is a fact. And that's what it comes down to is DeBoer, however his coaching strategy may be, or style, culture, whatever you want to say, it's a trickle down effect. At the end of the day, those guys got to police each other and be like, do you want to be here? And if so, we need to do something about it. We need to prove that we deserve this A on our chest.
Yeah.
Because,
Supposedly they had a players only meeting
something.
last week, so I don't know.
Supposedly.
We'll see. Yeah,
we'll see what that means. I'm gonna give Alabama the nod right now, but it'd be hilarious if something happened. That's all I'm gonna say. And it's always gonna be hilarious. No offense, Alabama fans. This is what you get for being so good for so long. It's not my fault. It's yours. Moving right along, we got Arkansas and the Hogs going to Ole Miss. What?
I had the wrong graphic up. We're good now.
Oh, okay, we're good. Okay, producer, come on now. Arkansas playing Ole Miss. In Oxford, Chad, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I mean it's Taylon Green and Sam Pittman against Austin Simmons and Lane Kiffin, and it's funny because like this may be like one of the best overall like continuity and everything else, even better than the CJ Jefferson stretch. KJ Jefferson. Why did I say CJ? KJ Jefferson era with Sam Pittman.
Yeah.
But Sam Pittman is squarely on the hot seat. And I don't know that Lane Kiffin is on the hot seat so much as this is like a danger spot for them. They're coming back home. They kind of had a squeaker on the road at Lexington, but it was on the road. And I don't know, I don't know how many excuses they make for themselves, but a team that allows themselves to lose to Kentucky last year at home, I think is very much capable of losing to Arkansas at home this year. And I could see it happening. And I don't think they're as good as they were last year. And I think the ups and downs of Austin Simmons' play is potentially going to bite them. And I don't know. It's Arkansas, and like Sam Pittman has this way of just getting those dudes to show up and try to splash on somebody. And I 9.5, not a huge line, but big enough. I think this game probably plays within that. And I think it's anybody's game. And I would not be surprised at all if Arkansas pulls it off. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would not be surprised at all.
No doubt, bro. And let me tell you something. This is for a while now. This has been a pro Taylon Green podcast. Mm-hmm. We are huge fans of that kid and what he has done for the Razorbacks. We just feel like he's always needed more of a supporting cast. But that kid is good, and that kid can win you some football games when it all comes down to it. And I think, bar none, the biggest spoiler in the SEC year in and year out will and forever will be the Arkansas Razorbacks. Usually it's down in Fayetteville, but you also don't want to see them coming to your house when you're looking for something to get right. They got
Mike Washington Russell, Jr., a good running back too. Like,
and they still got Braylon Russell there too, who's also a dog as a running back. So, listen, I don't know if I want to call the upset, but I kind of want to. I'm just going to let it go for now. But, yeah, I think it plays within this number. But I'm going to be Stephen A. I would not be surprised if the Hogs take care of business and make Lane Kiffin cry, because that would also be hilarious. And that's what we like. Yeah. Big game here at Williams-Brice Stadium. Mr. Fuck You Football himself, Diego Pavia, is going to play Lenora Sellers in South Carolina Gamecocks. This is going to be a great game. I don't know how to make heads or tails of it based off how, if we're doing our transitive properly / continuity, comparative property football, Vanderbilt House is in the bag. Chad, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they should have this in the bag, right? I think this is a great prove-it moment for both of these schools.
Absolutely.
I think what you're watching right now is South Carolina is trying to take that next step to actually become a fan favorite, a voting public favorite for a playoff berth, right? They were in the position that Vanderbilt is in right now last year. So last year, South Carolina was the team that was like unranked to marginally ranked in and out of the top 25 towards the back end of the top 25. Vanderbilt had to like just go on a run to even get into the top 25 last year. This year, Vanderbilt still outside the top 25, but they pull off this win. They start to become this year's South Carolina in a way, because I think everybody looks at the body of work they had last year and the close calls that they had last year, almost beating Texas and beating Alabama and having the overtime game with Virginia Tech. Like you had all these different. They had a close game with Missouri. There are a lot of different little steps along the way that people can translate that forward to Clark Lee and Diego Pavia and that whole roster. They've got juice, and
Absolutely.
they went into Blacksburg and beat by 3 touchdowns a team that South Carolina was in a dogfight with 2 weeks ago on a neutral site.
Yep.
And we told you before the season to pump the brakes on Lenore Sellers and South Carolina and all the Heisman hype and all the national championship guaranteed playoff spot hype. Just hold up, let them go out there and prove it, because just because you went 9-3 last year, and by the way, 9-4 because you lost your bowl game, but just because you went 9-4 last year doesn't mean you automatically start off with 9 wins and you just have to find a couple more and now you're an 11-2 team. No, you have to win those 9 games again and then win the other 2.
Yeah.
And you can't just give them the wins they haven't achieved yet, a la Florida, giving them the South Florida victory before it happens, and it doesn't happen. Well, what happens if South Carolina loses to Vanderbilt this weekend? That's all we're saying is South Carolina, very good team, high-quality team. Love Coach Beamer. Like Shane Beamer's loved his dad at Virginia Tech back in the day. And the relationship that they have and everything, all that stuff is great. But the Virginia Tech connection comes back and reminds us that, like, there may be a hunter hunted that is a little better than that. This is one of those, like, South Carolina turns over their hand. They think they're good with their king, queen suited, and Vanderbilt turns over ace, king suited. And it's like, okay, they don't just have live cards. They got you beat. Now you're hoping a queen hits just so you can win this game. Like, be careful, because Vanderbilt is live, and you might be in for a dogfight. That's all I'm saying.
Vanderbilt is live, and it's the fact that Pavia has proven that he literally does not give a shit who you are and where he's playing you. I was
going to say, the fact that it's a night game at Williams-Brice would tend to make you think it favors South Carolina.
He gets up for that more. He loves that.
He gets off on that. He's like, feed me more.
Yeah. It's like, tell me I suck. Tell me you don't believe in me. Play the music.
Exactly.
It's like, play the music.
Play Sandstorm again.
Yeah.
Play it while I'm in the huddle. Play it when I'm calling an audible.
Like,
Let's go.
So, like, is he the ultimate road warrior in the terms of, like,
I can imagine he's not.
He's immune to all the things that, like, home atmosphere brings, because he feeds off the fact that you don't believe in him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's like the biggest, like that is literally fuck you football.
Yeah.
Like in the best terms possible. So I'm gonna put South Carolina on upset watch.
Uh-oh.
Give me the doors. Anchor down.
Okay.
I'm calling it. I'm calling it live. We're doing it live.
You heard it here first.
We're doing it live.
Right.
We could have a couple traps coming. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chad.
Hang on. Let me pull the other one up. All right.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Could have a couple traps coming up. We're about to talk about it.
Yeah.
USF could be on the most generational run of all time. Now playing their third ranked opponent. They have 2 ranked wins, and now they are ranked. And now we have a ranked on ranked matchup down at Hard Rock. Dude, let me tell you something. This could be crazy. I think that Miami is at face value, based off what we've seen so far, Miami might just be a way better team than Florida, and that's fine. Good for Carson Beck. Yay. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about the letdown factor and and all that stuff with the adrenaline and everything. And it's an in-state rivalry. But is Miami reading its own press clippings right now and believing all the hype around them after they beat Notre Dame a couple of weeks ago? And is South Florida? So I think if you're South Florida, I think you looked at this schedule and you were just like, you're just checking like, all right, 1, 2, and then if you get this one, 3. I don't think South Florida can come into this thing thinking too highly of themselves. I think they've been staring this thing down from the beginning of the season as like, this is the one.
Right.
Not Boise State. Yeah, Florida. Okay, cool. But Miami, that's the one where we're hunting down and we're going to go get them. And with what they did to Florida, you would have thought like if they were going to have any kind of letdown, it would have happened after they beat Boise State and blew the doors off of them. What do? They go down into the swamp and beat Florida in the swamp. They're going to go down to Coral Gables. And what do you think? What do you see with this one?
Listen, what I see is that Byron Brown has been playing his ass off for that team last week. 263, a tud, 66-yard rushing. I also believe that Keyshawn Singleton is a dog. Big play guy, 2 catches for 75, and a tud. On the flip side of that, you have Carson Beck has played well. He played well against Notre Dame. Good for you. And then they played against Bethune-Cookman. Yay.
Yeah, congratulations.
I mean, but he's got 2 dudes on the outside when we think about that, Chad. He did also have 2 dudes when he played for UGA.
But they couldn't catch it, though.
Dude, I'm talking about the year that he played well. He had 2 dudes. They brought down Lad McConkey.
That's true.
And now he has C.J. Daniels and Malachi Tony. C.J. Daniels coming off of 5, 73, and 2, and Malachi Tony coming off of 6 and 80. Yeah, I think that Miami is a way tougher matchup for USF than Florida was. However, I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to say every week until it changes. USF believes in themselves. They've said that verbally. They like what they have. They like what they've built. They've built their team with this season coming up. They have built it from the ground up. They are proud of what they've done with their team up until this point, and they've got everything to prove and nothing. I shouldn't say nothing to lose because now they're ranked. They're 2-0 against ranked teams, which is crazy. And that's great for them. Listen, shades of 2007, USF getting ranked could climb up the rankings a little bit more.
It would happen in 2007, right? Natty, let's go.
Just hey, you never know, my friend. I'm gonna still lead Miami here for sure. Like I think that this is. I think it could be a game. I have no reason to not believe that, but Miami's got the dudes. But crazier things have happened. Is kind of where I'm leaving that for right now. I know everybody wants us to stand 10 toes down and make a take. Sometimes we do that, but sometimes you have to be like, hey, I can't. We're just going off what we've seen so far. Yeah. And if it's not wrong to say that Miami's played Notre Dame and Bethune-Cookman,
right?
What does that mean? Like they could show up 10 different ways on Saturday. We'll have to see. Do you have a way of leaning in this one before we move on, Chad?
I want to say it's going to lean. I would lean like inside the number. Is where I'm leaning. I think Miami does end up eventually proving too tough. But you know what happened in 2007 when the last time USF was like actually good?
What's that?
The first BCS standings when they were announced, USF was number 2 in the BCS standings. There's only 2 months until the initial CFP rankings. They got 2 months to get to number 2 to repeat history. So
that means they have to be in front of us.
There's a chance. What's that?
It means they have to be in front of us, Chad.
I know. Well, hey, look, they were in front of us that year too, and it still worked out for us. We still won the whole thing, so it's all good. We were like 3rd or 7th or something like that. I don't remember where we were, but yeah, it was pretty crazy. But yeah, so South Florida keeping this thing close, I think, is in the cards for sure. They've got some guys. Anytime you have an experienced quarterback and a dude who's big like Byron Brown is, like that's one thing. Like I'll give like that him versus CJ Carr. CJ Carr is not that big, like a lot easier to bring down, I guess. And the pass rush for Miami, they're probably going to get to Byron Brown
for sure. He's going to have to move,
and so he's going to have to move, but he's also going to have to maybe break a tackle, get out of a pass rush, or have just enough strength to like rip an arm free and get the ball, throw it out of bounds, throw it into the turf somewhere, and not take a sack or an intentional grounding. And a dude with that kind of size, it gives you a little more. He's got that like Byron Leftwich sort of body, that is just a big dude who he can run a little bit, but that's not his forte. It's throw the ball downfield.
I feel like I've seen announcers like compare him to Dante Culpepper a lot, which is I think an interesting take.
Yeah, I think Leftwich is more accurate.
Yeah, I don't disagree. If I were to define the next game, Chad, I would put it as I like the words trap game. Clemson as the road favorite going into Bobby Dodd and Georgia Tech down there in Atlanta. I have said this, and I'll keep saying this. Unfortunately, Haynes King has my eternal respect, and I cannot talk ill of him because he almost ruined my life last year.
Yeah, that was tough.
So he didn't, but it felt like he did at the same time. Thank God for Dan Jackson putting his helmet on the football. Or I would be a lot, last season when it worked out a lot different for us. But yeah, so Clemson find themselves as a road favorite after you talk about the letdown game, the adrenaline dump, the whole nine. A very hungry Georgia Tech team, ready to prove themselves.
Yeah,
people have picked them to go far and compete in this ACC, which I think, honestly, Chad, I know it's still very early, but the ACC has kind of showed that they're going to carry their weight.
Yeah,
in a big way this year.
No joke. Like you actually have some teams in the ACC now. I don't think you have a team. I mean, it's so Clemson, Miami, Florida State. You might have one of those teams that when the dust settles, they're a legit, national championship contender, where they're actually playing for that game or in the semis or whatever. But you have three teams that I think everybody could look at them and say you might actually have that this year. I don't think anybody thought that last year. Right. I think people looked at Miami and that was it.
Yep, and
they thought Clemson was good and cute and a good story, but that's about all they were. And they thought that anybody else, Duke, Louisville, whoever, was just kind of there. Right. This year, you have some squads, and the thing is, Georgia Tech is good enough, and they like to kind of ugly things up too.
Oh, absolutely.
They're very capable of knocking off I have this down as like a Clemson must win.
Yeah, it has to be.
If Clemson doesn't win this game, I think they're out of the. Okay, let me stop myself there. If Notre Dame isn't out of the playoffs for losing to Northern Illinois last year, then nobody's out of the playoffs until they're actually out of the playoffs. But
True.
I think with what Clemson has remaining on their schedule, it's going to be extremely difficult for them to overcome that, because they still have South Carolina at South Carolina this year, or is it?
I believe they're coming to Columbia because yes, they went to Clemson last year.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah,
and so their schedule all of a sudden starts to look a little tougher, because that game against Florida State that we were kind of laughing about on November 8th has all of a sudden become like a legit trouble game for them.
Right.
They also have Syracuse next week.
Who knows?
And they've got SMU later on down the road, and Duke and Louisville. And then, like I said, yes, at number 11, South Carolina, which they will be wherever they're ranked at that point. But you get the picture. You better win this game. Otherwise, you're looking at, you have to run the table just about the rest of the way.
And in Clemson, that you have to, if you were Clemson, you have to put your best foot forward, because if you give Haynes King an ounce,
he'll take
it all. He'll take all that and more and say, "Hey, thanks for coming."
Yeah.
Like, he is one of those guys that will put the entire team on his back and
There'll be gap discipline because he'll be breaking off 15-yard.
He'll probably rush for more than he
on
throws. He'll probably throw for no touchdowns, and he'll rush for 3. Like, that is a real thing, man. And he is very good. And they have talented receivers too. So like, and Brett Key, yeah. He played for Jack. He believes in his own team. Like, he's ready. He's ready to take them to the next level. So like, I think the ACC is really pulling their weight, and the ACC is not a cakewalk. And like, I think like if you drop a game like this, Chad, that might be the game that puts you out of the ACC final, depending on the way the rest of the schedule works out. So and
that's the only reason Clemson got in, if we're being honest.
Exactly.
If they didn't win the ACC last year, they were not getting in.
Yeah, that's literally the reason they won, because they still let SMU in. So I think that when you pick upsets, players like Diego Pavia and Haynes King are the type of guys that you hitch your wagon to and say, like, yes, you're gonna go and you're gonna do this.
Right.
So I might put Clemson on upset watch as well.
All right. Well,
I'm gonna do it twice. I think I am.
I'm not. I'm going to say I think it's very possible.
Watch. I'm not guaranteeing.
Even likely that it's within that number.
Yeah.
Because that's a big number, but I think Clemson comes correct this week and gets it done.
That's fair. I think it's going to get muddy. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Clemson won, but I think at the end of the day they're going to have to work for that win. And
for sure.
So I'm excited for it. I think that's going to be a great one. And to finish it off, Mr. $7.5 million man is going to go and play his former team at their house, and his former team is a 3.5-point favorite.
That's right.
After Duke got their asses whooped by Illinois.
Only reason we're talking about this game, if we're being honest, is because of Darian Mensah, and so that's all it is. And I'm here to say go Wave, because let's put it right back where it came from and get it done. I'm not a Tulane fan, but I do seeing the teams from around Louisiana do well when they're not playing LSU. So and I think it would be a good get back for them to hand them a loss, and also depending on the severity of that loss, how impressive was that win, Illinois and Brett Bielema. Anyway. I digress.
You digress.
Not always about the SEC versus the Big Ten, but sometimes
it is not. But we like to make it that way.
That's
but
right.
At the end of the day, we have conference play coming up this weekend. Hopefully, in our week 3 recap, we can sit here 2-0 against the teams we have to play.
Right.
It's gonna be a great weekend. I'm excited. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Chad, it's been a pleasure. As always, this is the South End Zone. We're out.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Our intent was to eat. Our intent was to come eat and be hungry.
We're taking receipts, and we'll see you at the national championship.